Now I'm handing around a place for you to doodle while I'm talking. Once a year I'm at a convention with John Molidor, the Dean of the School of Medicine at Michigan State. And I always arrange to eat breakfast or lunch with him. And my question to him is always, what's new? A couple of years ago, I asked my what's new question and he said, kinesthetic learning, kinesthetic learning. Now fortunately, I just learned that word kinesthetic. It means motion. And what he explained to me was, remember the kid in church whose legs are going like this and the mother reaches over to stop their legs? She just stopped that kid's brain power. It's really important for people to be moving in order to learn. And so my goal is for you to grab your pen and doodle all over this just to have some movement. I don't care what you write. Now the first thing that I'd like you to write is a big triangle outside this triangle. It was Chip Fleming who taught me that there's a difference between the words fair and equal. What's the difference?
Equal could be something that's different for you than it is for me, but fair is where it's the same.
The opposite.
Opposite.
It's the opposite. Fair is what people deserve, and equal is the same for everyone. Hold that in your mind because many things in a PowerCore team, in fact almost everything in a PowerCore team is equal. Think about the attendance policy. It's equal. Now, I want you to think also about the difference between, I just forgot my words, we'll come back to that. So the first concept in your mind is the difference between fair and equal. I just remembered my words. Now I want you to think about the difference between deserve and earn. What's the difference between deserve and earn?
Entitlement, you feel a sense of entitlement versus a sense of accomplishment.
Nice. Ooh, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody write that one down for me. Entitlement versus accomplishment. That's really good. So the piece here that I want you to focus on is that referrals are always earned. They're never deserved. They're always earned. And they're earned in a way that is equal. They are not earned differently for each person. They're earned equally for each person. We want to think that we're different. Other people don't think so. Here's the mantra to keep in your mind. We judge ourselves based on our intentions. Other people judge us on our behaviors. So it's what we do that creates the equality that allows us to earn referrals. You guys with me on this? Anybody want to take the other side? Oh darn, I do love a good argument. All right, so with that in mind, I want you to label the three sides of the triangle you just drew on the outside of this triangle. Now this triangle is the triangle that's on every page, every tab of your membership journal. It's the triangle that shows how referrals happen. They happen like this. The person speaking, think info minute or 7-minute presentation or referral trigger. The person speaking says something that the person listening doesn't know. Think for just a moment what that means about info minutes. It means the words, as you know, cost referrals. Because all referrals happen because the listener didn't know it. So the person speaking says something the person listening doesn't know. And then the person listening has this action spark that includes another person who's not at the table. Without that action spark, including another person who's not at the table, there's no referral. Because a referral is always one person at the table introducing someone who is not at the table to another person at the table. You guys good with that?
Yep.
Now the piece where this comes into credibility and earn versus deserve is that the choice to introduce is always an option. And the choice to introduce is earned by credibility. So if I have an action spark, I still might tell Tom what idea I had, but I don't have to bring Mason into the conversation if I choose not to, because referrals are always earned, never owed. You guys with me on that? So then the question is, how are they earned? The very first line, the top line of the outside triangle that you drew, I want you to label boundaries. There are people who are very comfortable with certain things. The book that I'm listening to on the way up this morning gave an example of a researcher who was talking to gynecologists who are willing to put their fingers just about anywhere, except they were unwilling to ask their patients how much money they made. They said, oh my no, I can't ask my patients how much money they make. That's too personal. Then he contrasted that with financial planners who are very comfortable asking people how much money they make.
I have to. It's not comfortable. I have to.
Right.
Right. It's part of the equation. So.
Right. So the piece here that's important is boundaries form the basis for credibility. Yesterday, I spent about an hour and 23 minutes on the phone with a PowerCore member who was very disturbed because a member of their team has a habit of making people feel uncomfortable at the meeting. An example is 1 out of 3 people dies from a heart attack. Therefore, Jacob, Elwood, and Mike, look around, it's one of you. This doesn't make people feel safe or comfortable at the table, right? That's a boundary barrier that will cost people, that will cost referrals for this member. Do you guys agree with that? Now, what are some of the other boundaries that cause you to choose not to give a referral to someone you know? Because I know this has happened for all of you. You've had an opportunity for a referral, you've recognized a referral, and you've said in your mind, this person would be better than that person, or I'd rather refer this person than that person. What are the things, I'm talking broad concepts here, what are the things that make you choose not to, or to, introduce someone as a referral?
Sometimes it's a personality fit.
Personality, and what's the personality that you're looking for? This is really important.
It depends upon the client.
Yeah. So I was just talking to my mother's husband, who might be one of the smartest people I know, and he said, is it important to be extroverted? And the reality is that current research shows, that introverted salespeople are actually more successful than extroverted salespeople because extroverted people talk too much, right? And so the personality match might be less important than we think it is, but we always choose to do what we think is best for the client. That's really important. We do not choose to do what's best for our team member. We choose to do what we think is best for the client, whether we're right or wrong. So that's a piece that's important. Give me another high-level thing that makes you choose.
I would say competency. You know,
And how do you know whether
perceived
someone's
competency.
competent or not?
I think just getting to know the person, hearing their 1 minute, hearing their 7 minutes.
That's pretty happy, joy for me.
Yeah.
How do you know whether someone's competent or not? This is a really important thing.
Their past performance. If I've referred somebody on and customers are not happy with them for whatever reason, or they're happy with them, then I know, hey, Brenda's Kathy, I've referred people, they come there, oh, she's great, she's this, she's that, I love her.
It's that piece right there.
And that's where I get it.
And people come back to him and say she's great. If they didn't come back to him and say she's great, it would be neutral. If they come back and say this didn't work so well, you might want to rethink in the future, then it's a negative, right? What are all 3 of those things? The coming back and saying she's great, the not coming back at all, or the coming back and saying you might want to rethink referring in the future. What are those things?
Feedback.
Yep, and they're stories. And stories are the way that we understand competence. We might think that we just know, but without stories, we don't have a basis. So that's one of the reasons why telling stories is so important in info minutes. Give me one more high-level thing that determines what the boundary is on whether you'll refer to someone or not.
Work ethics.
Describe what you mean.
I like to have somebody that will think like me and also prioritize in the triangle the same
So what does
way
that
I
mean?
do. Doing callbacks. You know,
So what's your time for callbacks?
I try to do the sundown rule.
So callbacks by sundown,
Right.
not callbacks in the moment.
Right.
Which brings us to our second thing. We couldn't have planned that better. Which brings us to our second thing, the second arm of the triangle, which is respect. Respect is more important to us than boundaries. Respect is the way that we understand that we will be thanked for making the connection. How do you look at broad concepts here? How do you know that someone respects you? Dan?
You respect them, or they respect you. By giving you respect, then you.
But how do you know? How do you know, Jacob?
If you're meeting with them, you show up on time, you give them your full attention.
Time is one of the, so I just got 3 from you, I'm gonna take them one at a time. Time is one of the most important ways to show respect. When, I just answered a question on Quora, the questioner was a hairstylist, and she said, how do I get rid of a client? And I gave her 4 different ways, but my favorite was the way that said, if you wanna get rid of her because she's late, next time she comes in, say, our appointment was for 3:30, I have a 5 o'clock, I won't be able to serve you today. And when she says, but I have something urgent, say, our appointment was for 3:30, I have a 5 o'clock, I won't be able to serve you today, right? In other words, keep up that, our appointment was for 3:30. When people don't show up for their hair appointment on time, who does it impact? It impacts the 5 o'clock, and then it impacts the 6 o'clock, and that means it impacts the hairstylist. And so not only is time an important boundary for each person, but time waterfalls down. I asked Joe Gottlieb, he's a 23-year-old member of the Buckhead team, if he could change an appointment. And he responded with what I considered to be a terse tone. He said, Wendy, I've planned my day around this appointment. I cannot change it. I understand that totally. My day-to-day is planned one after the other. If someone cancels one of those appointments, that's a time when I can't be doing what I was planning to do. In other words, I can't be making the money I was planning to make. Time is an important area of respect. The second area of respect that you mentioned, Jacob, was attention. Now, there's a particular way that we as humans know that someone is paying attention to us. Actually, let's come up with 3 different ways that we as humans know that people are paying attention to us. What's one?
Eye contact.
Eye contact. Eye contact's a big one. Which is one of the reasons that script 1 in the officer scripts this term says put your phone on airplane mode. Because even looking at a ringing phone lets everyone around you know that the unknown ringing phone was more important to you than what the person doing an info minute or a 7-minute presentation was saying. Which is not only disrespectful to the person doing the info minute, but lets the people beside you know they can't trust you to give their clients your full attention. Eye contact is a really big one. What's another way to let people know that you are respectful? Carrie?
Ask questions.
Yes, that is a huge one. When people ask questions, think about the feed forward card. I was asking Alberto this morning, I just love feed forward cards. Do you guys like them as much as I do? Do you remember before we had feed forward cards? I just love feed forward cards. And I really appreciate the people who ask those questions. It's an indication that they were paying attention and respectful. Give me a third way that people show that they are giving attention. Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of the same thing, but active listening, kind of restating what you think you heard the person
Restating,
say.
good.
So that's
Body
that's
language.
sort of like
Body language, good. Give me another one.
Referrals.
Referrals, good. I'm looking for one more that I see many of you doing right now, and that is taking notes. Whether you're ever going to use the notes or not doesn't matter. But capturing what people are saying makes them think you care. And it's a tool to let people know you respect them. Now watch. The first line of the triangle was boundaries. The second line of the triangle is respect. The third line of the triangle is results. What are the results that you experience when you show respect?
Referrals.
Yeah. You know, I log in, I don't say it's Daniel. Daniel logs in every single We Did Business slip. And then I'm able to pull We Did Business slips based on classification, based on who was the person responsible for originating the introduction, based on who's the person getting it. And what I can tell you is that when new members say to me, does PowerCore work for, and then they'll put in a classification. Does PowerCore work for realtors? Does PowerCore work for bankers? Does PowerCore work for CPAs? The answer to that question is, it's the wrong question. Classifications have nothing to do with whether or not people get referrals. And neither does the team. Because what I can see from the We Did Business data is that it is what the individual earns through their behavior that determines what they get. There was a member who was on a team for a long time. Just a minute, I'm going to think if any of you know him. No, I don't think so. He was on a team for 20 years. He dropped the week after he got his 20-year pin. For 20 years, he gave the same info minute. I will present it for you now. Are you ready? Good morning, I'm a life insurance agent. Nobody wants to talk about life insurance. Anybody who can fog a mirror is a good lead for me. I'm a life insurance agent. For 20 years.
20 years.
And I talked to him about going to Info Minute seminar. He said, I'm getting everything I want, thank you. The person who invited him to PowerCore talked to him about going to Info Minute seminar. He said, maybe. 1 year, about 8 years in, the team coordinator said to him, why are you here? And he said, because I know you guys would have referrals for my competition. I'm keeping my competition away from the table.
Wow.
Thousands of
Sad, eh? For 20 years at 7 o'clock in the morning? So the piece here that I want you to think about is, how do other people earn your introductions and your referrals? How do you decide, based on respect and boundaries, how do they earn your referrals? Give me 3 ways.
Faithfulness.
Yes, which is one of the reasons why we have 5-year pins, right? Yeah, good. Give me another way.
Provide value.
Yes, and in a PowerCore setting, how do people provide value?
playing different roles, I guess. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
through leadership. Give me another one.
By passing it to referrals.
By knowing that you got to give to get, not thinking that they're excluded from the third side of that triangle. Give me another one.
I would say keeping the energy up maybe too.
Keeping what?
The energy up in the room.
Yes, yes.
Not-
Applause, standing,
Yeah.
yeah, lighting, good. Anybody else?
Coffee, staying connected.
Yes, staying connected.
Yeah.
So watch, what we've been talking about are all the systems that are inside a PowerCore team. Inside of I was just talking to someone who isn't getting as many referrals as he would like, and I asked him if he is religious about doing one coffee appointment a week with a team member. And he said, oh my gosh, no, I bet I don't do one a year. Well, of course he's not getting referrals, right? It's our behavior. It's our behavior inside the boundaries, showing respect, that determines whether team members use the choice they have to introduce us to their clients. We do have introductions for each other. We always have a choice about whether to make them. And we make them for people who've earned our credibility. My definition of success is when the number of we did business slips with your name in the middle is high. I'll be looking for you. I'm Wendy Kinney.